Hello there, world of takers, and welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Droodles Blitz, and in today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the map Lagoon. This is the newest map added into World of Tanks Blitz. There are so many different alleyways and opportunities to go so many different areas on this map that it can really cause not only confusion for even skilled players, but it can cause a lot of battles to be losses because nobody knows where the heck they're going. In today's video, I'll be doing a full review on this map, showcasing all the spots and quirky things you can do, and really what you should be doing in what class of tank you're driving, with some decent positions on an overview of the map. So, let's get straight into it. Now, the first thing I want to say is that if Wargaming does post a how to play Lagoon, I really would not suggest to watch it. 99% of the time what Wargaming says when it comes to map reviews is just flat out wrong. They've done this a lot in the past, like their Rockfield review telling people to go A side, even though nobody ever does that. So just in general, kind of don't watch Wargaming map review videos because they don't know how to play the game, so don't trust what they say. We're going to be starting off on medium side. This is over towards base C. For some reason, a lot of people like to drive their mediums over to A. They watch their heavies go to A and they're like, well, I don't know where to go, so I'm going to follow my heavies. Go to C. It's quite a far away from your heavies, but this is still definitely medium side. You've got a couple options to work here. First of all, you can play all the way wide C, which is not a bad spot at all. If you go wide over here, you not only have this bush, which allows you to be quite sneaky if anybody tries to poke this position here, but as well it allows you to see all the way down. If you're in a light tank, it's great because you're low enough you're not going to be spotted, and you can see all the way down that alleyway. But if you really want to, you can keep on going all the way over here wide if you're fast enough, and then you can get to this far corner, and then you can completely cover this position here. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the spot for a couple reasons. First of all, that bush back there, tank destroyers can shoot you from. It's the same here. If you're on this side, TDs can shoot you from here as well. Because of that, if you try to ever poke this position, you're essentially possibly going to be screwed. So I wouldn't really suggest to do that. It's not that smart of a decision. The best spot to really work, as I said, is this position here, just because of the fact that TDs cannot shoot you unless you over poke, because this little brick is in the way. Now, you've got some decent hull down positions as well if you want to get up to those spots. The first positions you can get to if you want to play a bit aggressive is you can make your way over towards the middle spot here. This allows you, let's say you're in an STB1, if you really manage to hold off the enemy, you can get hull down here, and if there's no TD in the back, you can get hull down up against the opponents in front of you and use your STB. I wouldn't suggest to play over aggressive on this map though, because it's so dang large. For example, if you play mid here and a autoload or a TVP decides to full send it through this little center spot here, you can be absolutely screwed. So if you want my opinion, I would not suggest to push anywhere in the center spot. It is way too aggressive, and you can see just how easy it is for any tank to just cut through here if they want. There's almost nobody that ever goes to this middle spot as it is. So be smart, play smarter, not harder. Don't put yourself in an overly aggressive mid spot on this map because you'll probably end up regretting it. So now let's make our way on to the higher part of this map, which is honestly where I actually have been playing a lot of my mediums, which is you're going to be taking this route here. Now, this route is pretty safe. Unless somebody full sends it through mid right off at the beginning, you shouldn't have to worry all too much about being shot. Once you make it up to this position, you've got a couple spots you can work. Now, the first thing I should add is there's not a lot of hull down positions here. You can get hull down if you back up like this, though. You'll notice it is a bit slanted terrain, so you can kind of work hull down here. You can see the terrain kind of angles in your favor. So the best way to work hull down here is to get right to this corner here, and then you can work a bit hull down. But apart from that, it's really not that fantastic of a spot for anything that doesn't have good hull armor. You'd be better off using a vehicle like the WZ-121 or a 62A over here. You also have this pretty good spot here if you have gun depression to shoot anybody that tries poking off to the side. You can do that on both sides here, and then you can obviously keep on pushing through here. You can get some shells into your opponents on this spot, and because they actually can't climb up to you, this is a very, very good spot for not only detecting, but holding off the enemy. Overall, I personally don't love the higher up parts on this map. Even though having the high ground is important, on a map like this, it's not as important. It's actually a lot better off if you work more towards seaside. The only time I'd really suggest to go up here is, as I said, with a more heavily armored tank. If you did go heavy side, but maybe your team didn't want to go heavy side and you were forced to drive your heavy over here, that's where maybe driving up this part is good. So let's now break on to where you would drive your tank destroyers. This map might just be the best map for tank destroyers to play on because of the fact there are two absolutely amazing spots to absolutely dunk your opponents. The first spot we're going to be taking a look at is the one that I briefly showcased when you're on medium side, and that is this one all the way in the far corner. This spot is great if you see there's a lot of mediums on the enemy team and your team decides to go towards this side of the map, or you want to support one of your two mediums that go this way and you think they're going to be outnumbered. This position here is absolutely fantastic. First of all, anybody that tries poking the spot over here to get an overview, boom, you can get easy shots into. But not only that, as I said, anybody that tries to poke any one of these spots here and overexposes their tank at any one of these corners is completely exposed to this side. So that's the first thing that's great about this position. If you actually want to back up a bit and you have good camo values, you have to realize that these spots are very far away. These mediums are going to be at least 230 meters away. So if you can poke this correctly and you're not too worried about being detected, you can actually shoot even where the enemy TD is, a little bit all the way off to the other side. Overall, this tank destroyer spot is very good. Anything on medium side, that is where you're going to want to go with your, Grill 15, with your Hovery, anything that you're going to be playing a bit more passive rather than frontline. That is the first spot I can suggest to drive your tank destroyer. The next position, which is honestly just as good, is right off to the other side of the spawn. So instead of going over there, we're going to go off to the left. Now this position, honestly, is a little BS in my opinion, for one simple reason. Look at how much room you have to back up. Normally, if a tank destroyer spot, you don't have that much room. You shoot and then sometimes you try to back up and you kind of get stuck here. A good example of that would be like Yamato Harbor, that overlook. You just have one small building to hide your tank on and people can blind fire it. This position here, look how much room you have to back up. Nobody can shoot you here. Like, it is so hard to dig a tank out of this spot. It actually allows you to be incredibly strong at holding this position even if you are outnumbered. And once you're in the spot, it's stupid good. I mean, not only can you shoot anything that decides to poke this bush here, not only can you shoot anybody trying to cross through here, anybody trying to poke through the base cap and mid, but as well, you can fully cover this far spot over here and anybody that overpokes this. It's a little stupid. This spot is absolutely amazing for tank destroyers, and essentially if your team ever decides to go heavy side and you want to cover them, just drive here. This is the only spot you should really ever drive if your team goes heavy side. As I said, it completely overlooks the tank destroyer spot. You could work this position here, but this one's just flat worse. First of all, you can't see the far corner. All you can see is this little poke here and maybe somebody that pokes here, but I mean, that spot is just flat better. Now, obviously, when it comes to maps like this, the sides are mirrored, so we can see that the enemy team also has basically the exact same bush right off to the other side in front of us right there. So yeah, overall, it's pretty dang easy to work either side of this map with a tank destroyer. As I said, I think this map's a little unfair because I think tank destroyers almost have complete map control. If you're in a skilled tank destroyer and you understand how to use it, you can see just how much of an influence you can make. If any of your heavies need cover here, or if anybody starts backing up and they need cover, you can literally just absolutely bonk somebody. And again, look at how much room you have to back up here. It is actually insane how much room you have to back up. The only thing you'd have to be worried on this side is medium tanks getting behind you, because you got a big open window here for that. So that's really the biggest worry you'd have as a tank destroyer. Finally, we have the heavies, which are the easiest to understand, which is why I've picked them the last. Heavy tanks you want to drive over towards base A. It's that simple. Yes, you can drive your heavies over to C if your entire team goes there, which I'll show you some of the decent spots. But for the majority of games, I would say at least 80 to 90% of the games I play, I'm driving my heavy over towards base A. There's a lot of different opportunities here. First of all, if you're in a aggressive hull down heavy, like the 5A here, you're going to want to play it more towards this part of the map here. Now you got to be careful because, as I said, tank destroyers are going to sit right at that back bush. So make sure that you're not driving your tank out like this, because let's be real, if the enemy team has a 183, you're gone. You're going to be shot. So do not put your tank in a position where tank destroyers are allowed to pick you apart. You want to sit right here, just to where that bush cannot essentially see your tank. At this spot, you're pretty clear. You can shoot, anything that tries crossing early game. I also like to work around this rock here. This rock works as great cover again to that tank destroyer spot. As you can see, anybody that tries crossing, you're completely covered from the TD bush because of this rock here. So essentially, I like to work this spot here. I like to shoot anybody here, anybody that's crossing, anybody that's poking. And then if you see that the TD fired, then you can overpoke a little bit. You want to have a lot of gun depression for a spot like this, more like 8-9 degrees, because then you can actually have enough gun depression to shoot over this position here into your opponent. So if you're driving a super conch or a cron or anything like that, this is an absolutely amazing spot. Not only are you going to be able to work this essentially uncountered, but as well, if anybody decides to push aggressive here, you can actually drive your tank right here. Anybody that pushes to this rock, you can get shells into. So this spot works very well to not only hold vehicles and help your team off of anybody that tries pushing wide here, but as well, it's very, very good for holding this spot and making sure nobody gets pushed on the side. Second of all, we have mid. Now this is an awful spot to go. Never, ever, ever drive your tank to base A unless you can. Because this spot, first of all, you have two alleyways that can shoot you. People can push off to this side and shoot you, and people can push off to this side and shoot you. That's awful for a couple reasons. First of all, if the enemy team has autoloaders, guess what? They can just send you, and that'll be the end of your tank. So, essentially, do not drive your tank to this spot unless you're winning this side of the map and you know you can get away with it. Because the moment you go here, it is very, very hard to get out of that spot. Let's finish off with going all the way far corner here. Now, you got two opportunities when going far corner. I personally have not gone far corner yet because I feel like it's just so far away. If I'm ever going to go far, I'm going to go right here. I'm going to drive my hull down tank right here, and this is kind of where I'm going to work it. That way, if anybody tries to poke the spot here, I can just stay hull down, and then I can stop them from actually getting into the corner. And then if they ever do get the corner, I'm still far enough away, and they're far enough away that the only way they can actually continue on pushing up is if they want to bleed another shot of health. So this is a pretty good spot here to stop the enemy, especially if you're in a hull down heavy. If you don't have any gun depression, then yeah, that's probably where you'd want to drive, I don't know, let's say your tank has 5 degrees of gun depression, then it would probably be more beneficial to drive your tank off towards this side over here and try and work this spot, because this is where you're going to have your no gun depression heavies. So overall, you got a lot of different opportunities with heavies here, and you should really decide where you're going to go depending on the enemy lineup and really what the best opportunities are to do. You'll notice how I didn't talk anything about base B, and it's very simple. I don't think anybody should go to base B. There's a lot of teams that'll try to flank through B. I've seen it happen a lot, and it's just a disaster. If you go through base B, you're hurting your team because you're not on C side and you're not on A side. You're just kind of in between. It's kind of like on Molendyke when you go to B, but then your whole team gets bum rushed at A because you weren't there, and then you lose. And that's exactly what this map is like. You'll notice that going to base B, there's nothing around us. There's nothing to shoot, and if you're stuck here, it's just kind of a waste of your time. So don't drive your heavies to base B ever. Either go to A or go to C. It's that simple. There might be some occasional games where I've had, the enemy team pushes to B, and then I have to drive my heavy down the hill here and then shoot them, but that's their decision. Start off by either going to A or C, and then you can work your way into B depending on what the enemy team does. Don't ever start going there. It is exactly like Naval Frontier, how base B is just sitting there. Don't do it. It's a terrible base to go to. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and if you'd like to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.